We're going to cover tonight the last Pesukim, the last verses of Perek Chet. And this deals with a topic that is very familiar to us. For those of you who've been here before, we spoke about it last week too, about the Tzaddik Veralo Rasha V'Tovlo, how certain things don't make too much sense to us. We would love to be able to figure everything out. And one of the most puzzling topics, or one of the most puzzling observations that we may make during our lifetime is why the righteous people, some righteous people, are having a very difficult life, difficult time, and the Reshaim, those who are wicked, those who are not doing the right things, those who are crooks and thieves, they seem to be getting away with it. And we explained in the past several times that this is an important topic because it confuses a lot of people. People have a hard time with it. People are upset. People can't figure it out. And part of the problem lies with this notion that people really think they should be able to know everything. They should be able to figure it out, like 2 + 2 = 4. I mean, things are not always logical, and they're not always supposed to make sense. You know, science makes somewhat sense. You know, you can put the scientific experiment in a laboratory. You can duplicate. You can prove things, you can show that it follows certain rules. But that's because we're dealing with a physical world. A Jew needs to continuously remember that this world consists of a spiritual world and a physical world. And the spiritual he cannot see. We know electricity exists because we see how it works, but we don't see it. But that one we accept because people have gotten hurt by putting in their fingers in the outlet, right? So we know there's something there. They don't easily adapt that example with other things that happen to them in their life as to what their meaning is, because there is no God that they can directly ask. He doesn't have an email, right? What do you do, right? You know, the advantage, however, that the Jewish nation has is that we have Torah, we have a lot of chokhmah, a lot of wisdom of the Chachamim that has been written down, and if we learn it, if we review it, we would have a better understanding of why certain things happen. So one of the biggest problems that people have is simply they don't learn. And we're talking about even religious, observant people, they don't learn. Or, even if they do learn, there's another problem, and that is very inherent in human nature, and that is that their nature is so engrossed with the pursuit of money that they simply lose themselves. Money, according to our tradition, is the most powerful Yetzer Hara, the most powerful evil inclination. And if anybody is addicted to it, I use the word addiction because that's what it amounts to. People can become addicted to it, then it blinds. Don't you remember, for example, what the Torah says about bribery? It blinds even the sages, even the wise. And it's true. It's very, very powerful. People who are very wealthy, it's almost impossible for them not to be a little bit arrogant. As we learned this morning, for those of you who learned the Shit Chokhmah, it elevates the Yetzarim. The barometer of various instincts that we have goes up with the money. The money goes up, his bank accounts grow, so does, along with the money, the various instincts that are tied to money. Arrogance, chutzpah, believe it or not. Does everybody here know what chutzpah is? Poru. You know that one? That one you know. Yeah.
Where to have God to do something?
Okay, so this is an introduction. 1 second. So what happens is when the money grows, so does everything else in that human body that is tied to that. And because of that, people become angry, frustrated, things don't go well for them, depending on their circumstances. We're human beings. So half of us is an animal, and half is like a malach. We have a neshama. It all depends who is in control. Those who allow the neshama, the soul, to be in control over their physical body will have an easier time dealing with the the storms in the sea, as I call them. The storms in the sea means all the turbulence that occurs in this world. There's a lot of turbulence. And we go through this stormy seas of life, whether it's during the adolescent years, the teenage years, or later on as we're trying to build a home, have a family, and through struggles, and there's all kinds of struggles. And Baruch Hashem, not everybody has the exact same struggles, because it would be too much to bear. Some people have to deal with illness, some people have to deal with poverty, some people have to deal with difficult children, difficult neighbors, difficult in-laws. There are all kinds of difficulties in life. Life is not always smooth sailing. Very few people have it smooth sailing from day one till the end. It's a blessing. That's not what it's all about. In Parshat Bereshit, from the very beginning, we're told, "B'ze'at apecha tochal lechem." You're not going to earn your bread unless you toil for it. You sweat. Childbirth is not going to be easy either. Right? There are certain things that are told to us beforehand are not going to be easy. And we need to accept it. But why should it be like that? Well, for that we have to learn. We learn the commentaries. We can learn a little bit about certain things in the Kabbalah, in the Zohar. And we will have more insight as to why certain things need to be the way they are. But people don't have the time. They're so busy in their daily routine that they don't take the time to analyze and to study the vast amount of information that the Torah has to offer. So Kohelet has done us a big favor. Kohelet, as an observer and as a wise man himself and as a learned man, is sharing with us valuable information. Not only, hey, this is my experience, this is my diary. No, this is not his diary. Even though this is his experience, it is something that he wants us to know and learn. That is why he called this book Kohelet. Kohelet, he gathered people, and he taught them, Le'akhil. That's one explanation of what the word Kohelet means. He gathered people to teach them valuable lessons, like in Sefer Mishlei. Mishlei is a beautiful sefer. Proverbs, parables, written by Shlomo Melech. And whoever learns Kohelet very well, whoever goes through all the Pesukim, goes through Mishlei, there's no doubt that he will look at life differently. He will understand a little bit more than those who didn't learn. Very simple. So getting back to what we were talking about, this area of things appearing to us to not be fair, things appearing to us to be wrong, there appears to be no judge, no justice. It's only an appearance. A Jew must continuously remember a very, very important rule. Yesh borei la'olam v'hu mashgiach al ma shenasa ba'olam. There is a creator, and he is involved. And I emphasize involved because there's a lot of African tribes who believe in a creator perhaps. But that creator to them is so far removed that he's not involved in what's going on. A lot of religions, by the way, and civilizations believed in this concept of a creator, that he's created the world, not a big bang, not evolution, a real creator, but he's removed, he's not involved. He doesn't know what's going on. And therefore they worship the idols. They figure through idols, I can communicate, I can get things done for me. And Judaism came and taught an important lesson, and this is of course started with Abraham Avinu. He did not only create the world, he's involved. You can pray to him, he listens to you. And he does everything perfect. Man is the one who's destructive. Man who is the one who doesn't behave. Man is the one that breaks rules. Hashem breaks rules sometimes too. You know which rules Hashem breaks sometimes? Whenever there's a miracle. What's a miracle? A miracle is Hashem broke a rule of nature to perform a miracle. Which means what? Something that is above nature. He does that. You believe in miracles, right? You've heard of miracles. There are miracles. Somebody who doesn't believe miracles, obviously, with him we have to start from scratch. But hopefully most of us understand what a miracle is. Hashem broke the rule. And sometimes he breaks the rule in a destructive way too. What is a tornado? What is a hurricane? What is a tsunami? Hashem broke the rules of nature in a different way, in a negative way. And he allowed these forces of nature to be destructive. And unfortunately, people lose their life. And there's a lot of property that's damaged as a result of this breaking the rule. But why did Hashem break the rule? Because people break the rules. All right? So when things happen, we have to know there's a reason for them. Things don't happen randomly. Nothing is random. Everything happens for a reason, but we have to get used to the fact that we may never be able to figure out what the reasons are. We're lucky that the Chachamim gave us a list of certain major disasters in the world on a global scale, why they occur, why earthquakes occur, why storms occur, why poverty as a result of famine, people don't have food, why these things happen. But on an individual level, why is Reuven doing well and Shimon not doing well? They both went to the same school, they're both, good, they're both nice. Why is he doing much better than the other one? They both got a PhD. And they're both lawyers or they're both doctors, and one is doing well, one is not doing well. What does that have to do with? So we spoke in the past about another topic called mazal, the qismat of people, the destiny, their fate. And now we will try to a little bit combine the two together. Because he says that when people look at life, they will be very, very surprised, and not understand why somebody who tried so hard didn't make it, and why somebody who didn't try at all, he just came from Kerman. Not Tehran, he came from Kerman, right? And he doesn't have a penny to his name, he doesn't know a word of English, and all of a sudden, within a short time, he owns half downtown. What do you say to that? You know people like that?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. How come? And this other guy who worked so hard, he speaks English fluently, right? He has a PhD, right? He's having a hard time finding, he doesn't own his own home, he's still renting, right? What's going on? So he calls this hevel. Now, hevel really means vanity. Vanity means what? Don't pay attention to this because it's vain, it's worthless, it's ridiculous, it's nothing. That's what hevel means. Hevel is like vapor. Nothing. Right? Hevel also could mean this is something that stupefies people. It confuses them. It knocks them out. People are upset. People can't understand and they complain. Where was God? How could he allow this Holocaust to happen? So what do? We started off with an important introduction that says there is a God, he is involved, he is aware, he does listen, but why does he allow certain things to happen? Well, we have to learn for that. And when we learn, we have to also remind ourselves that we may never get all the answers, that our human minds are limited, right? That we cannot possibly understand everything there is to understand, especially that we live so short. We're only around here for 70, 80 years, maybe a little bit more, B'ezrat Hashem, right? How could you expect to know everything there is to know? So we're continuing on. Yesh hevel. He says, Asher na'asa la'aretz. There's therefore a hevel, a confusion, something vain, something not clear, that happens in this world, in this earth. Asher yesh tzadikim asher magia lehem k'maaseh reshaim, v'yesh reshaim asher magia lehem k'maaseh tzadikim. The famous topic that we've been talking about, that some tzadikim live a life with the goral, with the fate and destiny of what appears to belong to a rasha, not to a tzaddik. And there are some rashaim who are living the life with a goral, with a fate, a destiny, that really belongs to the tzaddik, not to the rasha, a good life. And all of this is hevel. I said this is hevel. In other words, he's looking, he's seeing, he saw this. And we see it today too. This guy is crooked. This guy doesn't do anything beneficiary, anything that benefits society. It's all for himself. He's selfish, right? And here's this other guy who's righteous and generous and kind and everything. And what a difference in their life. I mean, the one who's good is having it difficult. The one that's not so good is having an easy life. What's going on over here?
What?
So what did we say so far? So far, what did we say? That does not in any way disprove that he doesn't exist, because he does exist and he's involved. But point number one, there are many things that are hidden or concealed from us. Concealed. There are things that are concealed. Can you see a ghost? Don't you want to see ghosts? right? In Halloween, didn't you see ghosts? Different kinds of ghosts, right? Real ghosts you can't see most of the time. Sometimes yes, but most of the time you can't see a ghost. No. Why not? For two reasons. The reason, by the way, everybody knows what a ghost is, right? One reason is because it's spiritual, it's not physical. And we can only see things that are physical with these eyes, but animals can see. The dogs and cats will see a ghost, and that's why all of a sudden they bark. You don't know why. Maybe they saw a ghost, a bad one. A second reason why we don't see ghosts is because Hashem doesn't want us to see it. We would be frightened. We wouldn't be able to conduct our lives. And that's why we don't see demons. Does everybody here know what demons are? If you don't, go to Melrose. You see many of them. Demons, there's different kinds of them. The jinn, right? There are many kinds of them. There are some that look more like human beings, and some that look more like goats, animals, different kinds. Some are monstrous. Different kinds of demons. Hashem created them for a reason. If we would see them, we would go crazy. We wouldn't be able to function. Because there's many of them all over. Especially in rural places where people don't live, that's where you find most of them. In the city, usually they're not around, usually not. Hashem doesn't want us to see them because it would interfere with our life. And number three, it would interfere with free will. Remember free will? Hashem wants us to be able to have free will, to be able to decide on our own to do or not to do. If everything was obvious to us, oh, there's a demon, that means there's a God, that means there's Gehenom, and Gan Eden, and punishment, then He's pushing us, He's forcing us. It's making it obvious to us. So Hashem conceals things for a good reason. Good reason. It's better for you not to see these things. It's better for you not to know about these things. You will gain because you will have free will, and you will gain that you will hopefully have a peace of mind. You were going to ask something. Go ahead.
Does the good soul has a good smell and bad soul bad smell?
No. Soul doesn't have a physical characteristic. Smell is physical. Okay? A soul, the ruh, is not physical. It's spiritual. And you can't see it. You can't see the souls. But you have it in you. The human body has the ability to love. Right? You can love. Love is something not physical. Love is spiritual. To love someone, to care about them, to want to connect with them, and to do for them, it's a spiritual feeling. It's something in our mind. It's something that we express not necessarily with our physical body. Okay? So the human being is not only about physical instinct. He also has a neshama. And that neshama is the captain of the ship. That's the neshama that makes the decisions. The problem is that some of those decisions are being influenced by the physical body, the physical needs. And some people have tremendous needs that they can't control. They can if they want to, but they don't want to control, I should say. They want money. How do they control it? Of course, if they learn and they realize what is money for, right? What it's intended for, how you can do good things with money, right? That can control that desire. It can neutralize it. But if people do not control themselves, they can be worse than animals. So right now, what do we know so far? That there are certain things that we don't know, certain things that are concealed, and they're intentionally done so, and it's for our benefit. So therefore, the rabbis tell us, the famous pasuk, that Yesharim darchei Hashem tzadikim yilchu bam, posheim yechasheru bam. The ways of Hashem are straight. The righteous will follow the path, will go along with it, not complain, not be upset. Ufosheim, and the wicked, the sinners, yikasheru bam, they will fail, they will trip, they will make mistakes, because they will assume the wrong things. They will not understand. Okay? But the ways of Hashem are straight. The problem is that it appears to us that it's not straight. It appears to us that things are not fair. That's only because we don't know everything. Give you a quick example, which I've given in the past, but many of you were not here, so I'm going to repeat it again. Imagine there's a surgery going on in that room. You don't know anything about it. All you can see is through the glass door. Imagine this was a glass door, so you can see what's going on, but you don't know what's going on. All you see is that this guy with a white gown is cutting the leg of somebody who's lying in a bed. And the guy who's lying in a bed is crying, is yelling, he apparently is going through excruciating pain. And you say, oh, how terrible, how cruel, what is this guy doing to him? But soon after, the door is opened, and the patient who was on the bed crying before walks out, and he hugs the doctor, and he says, thank you. Thank you? He just chopped off your leg. You don't understand. He just did me a tremendous favor. That leg that he chopped off had gangrene. You know what gangrene is? Yeah? And if it spreads, it kills the whole person. It was infected. He cut off that piece to save the whole person. He did me a favor. He saved my life. Yes, there was no anesthesia. I was going through a tremendous pain, but I'm happy. I'm grateful to him. Otherwise, he wouldn't survive. We, from here, did not know what's going on. All we see is what appears to be an act of cruelty, pain, misery. Wow, what a loss. A leg, to lose a leg. It's not a finger, it's a whole leg. We don't understand that this was a favor. That's what happens in the big picture in real life, is that certain things happen, and we think, oh, how terrible, how sad. We don't realize how much good is there. There must be something good. As I will explain soon, nothing from above that comes down to this world is bad. Everything is good. You look at creation and you will see almost after everything that Hashem created, He uses the words kitov. If you read Parashat Bereshit, Yar Hashem kitov. Why does He tell us kitov? Of course, He made it. Of course it's good. You have any doubt about it? He's a perfect architect. He's a perfect engineer. He's a perfect designer. He made no mistakes. He has to tell us kitov. What is tov, by the way? Tov is really relative. What may be good for me, maybe is not good for you. Yeah, you like tuna fish, maybe somebody else doesn't like tuna fish. Right? What is tov? Tov between human beings is relative. When Hashem says something is tov, it means it's good for the entire creation. It serves a purpose. It's complete. It's not lacking. Tov is shalem. Tov is tachliti. It's complete. It serves a purpose. And it's necessary for the world. So when Hashem says, I created something and it's good, He means even cockroaches are good. They serve a purpose. They're needed. He didn't create anything just for the fun of it. And they're shalem. They have what they need. They're not lacking. They're tov. They're complete. That's what tov means. But what I wanted to bring out is that it serves a purpose. If something comes down from above and it's not man-made, it's not made by us, created by us, brought about by us, if it's brought about by Hashem, it's always good because it serves a purpose. So pain and suffering serves a purpose. One of those purposes is kaparat avonot. It atones sins. It cleans one up. You take your dirty clothes to the cleaners. Don't you want them clean and fresh? Remove the stains. So, it goes through heat. But you're happy. And you even pay for it. Right? It's there. You want it. It's clean. The neshama has to be cleansed. Because when the neshama goes upstairs, it is ashamed when it sees the stains on it. Imagine a kala. A kala is a bride wearing her beautiful gown, beautiful white gown that she spent a lot of money on, custom made in Paris. You can imagine, they ripped her off probably. Anyway, somebody spills ketchup on her. You think she's going to go in with ketchup on her right now to this hall where everybody's going to look at her? She's going to be embarrassed. But it's a wedding. What is she going to do? She tries her best to clean it. Maybe she covers it up with a shawl or something. I don't know. But she cannot go in like that. When the neshama goes upstairs, she's coming back to its creator. She wants to join. She wants to enjoy that beautiful light, which is the Shekhinah, and the warmth and the love that comes from it. But she can't because she's dirty. She's embarrassed. She can't. She can't enjoy it. It's too painful for her. So she asks upstairs, please clean me up. So in reality, the neshama wants it too. Because the neshama is pure. The neshama doesn't want to sin. The neshama is a part of God. So the neshama knows what's good for her. It's just the physical body that wants the comforts and the luxuries and the pleasures. And when something is uncomfortable, it's he or she is upset. So therefore, everything that comes down from above is good. Because it serves a purpose. We don't see that, but that's the way it is. There's a famous story in the Gemara with Yosef Brei de Rabbi Yeshua. Yosef, the son of Rabbi Yeshua, had a near-death experience. You know what a near-death experience? He died. But he didn't die and then they buried him. He died and he came back after an hour or so. It happens a lot. People die, they come back. And a lot of people who have had near-death experiences, millions of Americans and others in the rest of the world, have said what they saw, their parents, their relatives, they went up, they saw light, and all kinds of experiences. It's an incredible topic, by the way, near-death experience, NDE, that many Jews and non-Jews have had. They went for 20 minutes, they went for half an hour, they went for an hour. Obviously, they didn't go for 3-4 days, right? And they came back and they told us all kinds of things, and they're all very similar. So the father asked his son, tell me, my son, what did you see upstairs? He says, Daddy, Olam hafuch ra'iti. I saw an upside-down world. What do you mean by upside-down world? He says, the guys who are big shots over here, upstairs, they're nothing. They're like this, they're low. The guys who are low here, who people don't look at them, they're very, very important and high upstairs. So his father tells him, that's not an olam hafuch. You saw an olam yashar. You saw a correct world upstairs. Here it's a fuch. Here it's upside down. Why is it upside down over here? Because we don't know to appreciate properly human beings. I don't mean appreciate in the sense that you're used to. When I'm talking about appreciate, I'm using the word le'arich. We don't know how to value people. We don't know the true value of people. We think the guys who have money are special, are good, are kind. And this guy who's a schnorrer, as they call in Yiddish, you know what a schnorrer is? A guy who's going to beg for money. That's all he does is beg and beg and beg for money. Never works. He's a schnorrer. They call him a schnorrer. It's not such a nice word to use because maybe he can't work. But people in a derogatory way sometimes call people that because, here, that's all he knows how to do is collect, beg money. This guy could be much more important upstairs in the Shamayim than the guy who's wealthy, good looking, right? And sits in a better location in the shul. By Ashkenazim, much more than by Sephardim, where you sit tells a lot about you. By the Ashkenazim, there's something called the Mizrach Vant. Have you ever heard about that? The Mizrach Vant, you haven't heard Mizrach? The Mizrach means the east. Because we pray towards the east. Right? The east is Yerushalayim. Now, of course, if you're in Tehran or Isfahan or whatever, you're going to pray to the west. You're going to pray in the opposite direction. You're always facing Yerushalayim. So by the Ashkenazim, many places, the important people sit on the east wall, close to the Aron HaKodesh, close to the rabbi, the president, the gabbai, rich people, the contributors and so forth. And who sits all the way in the back? You can imagine the exact opposite. So where they place you means, so if you're a guest that's coming to town and they look at you and they see a tuxedo and how you dress, they say, please, to the east wall, right? And if you come not dressed well, he says, you go take a seat over there in the back. We don't know. It could be this guy who was just put in the back is much more important b'shamayim than down here. But what does a human eye see? He looks at that. You look at a senator. Oh, he has a nice tie on, and his hair is combed very nicely, and you think he's who knows what. He's corrupt, possibly. He's a womanizer and a drunk. Did you know that? No, not from looking at him. Unless his face is red, maybe he had a couple of wines, a couple of cups too much. How would you know? And guess what? What do you hear in the news all the time? This senator was caught, and this guy was caught, and the president was caught and impeached. Everybody's caught. And in Israel, twice a day they catch people in the Knesset. Every day, twice a day. Everybody's caught with something. We don't know by looking at people. But Rabbi, can't you see this guy is special? Why? He has a long beard. Even a goat has a beard. Big deal. A beard? Right? What is your beard? Maybe it's a tachposet. Tachposet is a disguise. Maybe it's all that with the beard. But no, Rabbi, he prays Amidah. Amidah is one of the longest prayers that we have every day, Shemon Esrei. It takes him a half an hour to finish it. Really? I know for sure he's a crook now. Why? Because he wants to impress people. Who prays for a half an hour unless he's the greatest rabbi? Nobody does that. You know, there's other things to do in life. There's to learn, right? Maybe he's putting up a front. Rabbis therefore tells Kabdeo v'chashdeo on everyone. Be respectful and be suspicious. You never know. Don't trust him. He'll come to you a week from now, 2 weeks from now. Can you give me a loan? And you look at him. You, of course. You're the first one. I trust you 100%. You have a beard. You pray Amidah for a half an hour. And I see you in shul every day. I mean, why? What's the? He could be a crook. He could be a con artist, right? Or let's give them the benefit of the doubt. He's normal, but he's forgetful. I really borrowed the money. Maybe you had a dream that you lent me the money. Yeah, there are people that forget to give back the money. They just don't remember. Really? When was that? Was it that much? A responsible person, an honest person, writes everything down, tries to give it back as soon as possible, right? So you don't know. We don't know. We look at people we don't know. After a number of years, after hopefully a reasonable amount of time of spending with people, then we get to know them. Hopefully this is I can trust. Hopefully, right? You do business with someone for many, many years. Hopefully you can trust them. And even then, I've been told by people who were doing business with somebody for many years, all of a sudden he declared bankruptcy. And they lost the last deal they lost. Whether it was intentional or not, he knew he was going to go bankruptcy. That's hard to prove. Right? You don't know. We don't know. So when we see things that don't make sense, right, we have to blame ourselves, not blame him. It is because of our limited knowledge that we don't know how to properly value people. Now, why am I talking about people? Because we started off saying that there are people who are better than others in a way that we don't know. And one example is in the Gemara where I think it was Rabbi Shua asked Eliyahu Navi. They used to meet, good friends. Can you tell me in this marketplace who is a Ben Olam Haba? Who has a share to the world to come? Can you tell me? I'd like to meet him. Who? Because we're talking about the market, people, average people, nobody really anything special. Can you tell me anybody who for sure has Olam Haba? He says, yeah, let me take you to this hall. He takes him to a hall where there's a wedding. And in that wedding, there were two badchanim. Badchanim, in English, would be, I don't know if there's a word for it, is people who like to make people laugh, like to make people merry. All kinds of tricks, clowning, but in a very good, positive way that really gets people to laugh and smile and be happy. Is there a word in English for it?
Comedian? Joker.
No, not a joker. Comedians, yes, jesters, maybe, yeah. Badchanim, levadeach, to make people happy. Huh?
Jolly?
Jolly, that's another word for happy, yeah. Badchanim, and there are people like that. That's what they're hired for. And some people at weddings, Ashkenazim especially, at the end of the wedding, they have a badchan. And what the badchan does, he begins to say in rhyme and in song all kinds of nice things about the father, the father-in-law, the hatan, the kala, the brothers, all kinds of things. And they use this method as well. How is it called in English? When they want to, in a play or in some other group where somebody gets up and says something about an individual. There was a word,
MC?
Not just the MC. He starts saying all kinds of things in a rhyme, in a poetic way about someone. But anyway, that's called the Batchan. So he tells them these two guys, they're average, simple, not very learned, perhaps not even very, very observant. But normal people, good people, these guys are Bnei Olam Haba. And he understood why. He didn't even have to ask why, because of what they were doing. They were making people happy. They were, whatever it is, whatever activity, whatever it is that they were doing, they were making the whole show, right? They were really elevating the spirits of people. And that's a big mitzvah, to make people happy. He says, you see them? These guys, for what they're doing, they have Olam Haba. That's an example. So if everything that comes down from above is good, why are things bad? Because man brings it upon himself. It is through man's actions that he brings upon himself all kinds of predicaments, all kinds of yisurim, all kinds of painful situations. Let's begin with one example, and we will explain. I'm not going to give you all the examples tonight because the topic is not only about pain and suffering, but a few examples of why people suffer. The first one that is quite common to see today is a Baal Teshuvah. What's a Baal Teshuvah? One who has done Teshuvah. He's been distant from God all these years. He may have been very sinful. He wasn't the best guy. He misbehaved in many ways. And all of a sudden, one day he decides, I'm doing Teshuvah, I'm repenting, I'm changing my ways, I want to be a good person, a good husband, a good friend, a good neighbor, and so forth. He buys himself a pair of tefillin, buys himself a pair of tzitzit, starts keeping Shabbat, prays every day, even in early nets, goes to the mikveh once a week, starts giving out charity, maaser, 10%, wow, everything perfect. But his business is failing. All of a sudden, his business starts failing. His business was booming before he did teshuvah. When he was sinful, when he was not doing things properly, his business was booming. And now, when he does everything right, he's suffering. He's having a hard time. He has to lay off people. He has to ask for a loan. Difficult times. But he looks around, the economy is not so bad. It's not like everybody's in the same boat. Because if everybody's in the same boat, what are you going to say? No, others are doing well, especially the ones who are crooks. And here he's doing everything the right way. He's becoming a Baal Teshuvah. All of a sudden, it's not a coincidence. Exactly at the same time that he becomes a Baal Teshuvah, boom, everything, all the beracha that he had is not there. And many of them have come to complain to me and to other rabbis. What's this? What's going on? I thought I was becoming a good boy. They don't understand that that's so typical. That's so typical because our tradition is very clear on that. And Shlomo Melech tells us that in Mishlei. Et asher yohav Hashem yochiach. Those of whom Hashem loves, He rebukes. Now Hashem loves you. Now He's definitely going to help you. Now He's definitely going to be there for you. But in a way that you didn't even think. He's going to send you Yisurim, pain, to cleanse you of all the sins of the past 26, 7, 28, 30, 35 years that have accumulated. All the Shabbatot that you didn't keep. All the times that you may have been involved with a non-Jewish girlfriend. What do you think? That's just going to be thrown away, ignored? You have to pay for it. Somehow, somewhere, sometime. If not here, then upstairs. Well, it's better down here than upstairs. Going to clean you up. You have all the stains. And when you are not clean, you cannot maximize your potential. When a person is very soiled in sin, he's dirty. He doesn't even... Take a diamond. Raw. A raw diamond, or a diamond that's dirty, you don't see how beautiful it could really be. You have to polish it. Every Jew, every neshama can be polished and be a beautiful person. Person who, however, who's soiled in sin cannot be who he really can be. The sins act as partitions, mechitzot, between us. You pray, he doesn't listen to you. Why not? Why doesn't he listen to me? Because you're dirty. Got to clean up. How come I don't have good dreams? It could be because you're dirty. The dreams, the cleaner the neshama is, the higher the soul will travel at night and be able to see true dreams. The more the neshama is dirty, it may have dreams, but dreams with demons and not with angels. The dreams are not going to be pure. A dream, if it's a true dream, which is not usually every night, most people don't have true dreams, but once in a while you have a true dream, it's not always pure. It's always mixed up with all kinds of things because the neshama is not so pure. The neshama doesn't have the merit to see things with clarity. A prophet saw a little bit more clarity. It has to do with the deeds. But if you did a very special good deed during that day, the neshama goes whoop, all the way upstairs and is able to see people who have left this world, that come to them and speak to them calmly and not being afraid of them. This is a whole different topic, the topic of dreams. It's a very interesting topic because that is where the neshama, not the guf, the soul is the one that's seeing all these things. Not with your physical eyes, because your physical eyes are closed. Right? So it's the neshama that is experiencing a spiritual experience, if it's real, but depending on its level. So if the neshama is not clean, it really is losing out a lot. So Hashem says, I want to do you a favor. Don't you understand? This is for your own good. Cleaning you up so that you should be fresh and clean and smell good and be close to me, and your prayers will be more effective and your mazal eventually will come back. Don't worry. But for the next 3 years, it's going to be down. What can we do? It could be 5 years. It won't be forever. It won't be for the rest of the life. Usually not. Usually it will last for a number of years because Hashem is doing you a favor. It's cleaning you up. Yes?
Sorry to interrupt you.
Okay, go ahead.
The way I learned, when you do teshuvah,
Yeah.
all your avonot are forgiven.
Even murder?
No,
Why not? You just said all. Even murder?
that's not true.
No, it's not true. That's why I asked you. You do teshuvah. Will all your sins be forgiven? Even murder? You answer me. Does that make sense to you?
I don't know that.
Okay.
I had, if you do real teshuvah and you really regret it, then you'll be forgiven.
For everything? Anything? Even murder? What if you killed 100 people?
I didn't ask about that one.
Right.
But anyway, if even he killed 100 people,
Right.
after he dies, 1 year only, every people.
No.
Only 1 year?
No.
No?
You see, this is you see how much there is to learn. That most people don't know these things.
Then
Teshuvah is very powerful. Yes, it is powerful. It can cleanse one of many, many sins. But it depends on the sin, depending how many times he did the sin. The Christians just say, go to the priest and confess. You're forgiven, my son. No, it doesn't work like that by us. By us, a sin has made stains, and you have to remove them. How do you remove them? It all depends on what the sin is. Let's say somebody stole money. That was a sin. He was a thief. He stole from all the neighbors. Hashem, forgive me. Hashem says, no. You go give back the money to those who you hurt. Teshuvah will not cleanse him of stealing. No.
but
Unless he doesn't remember. It's been many, many years. He's taken from so many people. And he wants to do real teshuvah. Hashem says, you know what? You don't remember? Okay. This is the way you should do teshuvah. Of course you repent. Of course you'll stop stealing. Of course you'll be very, very pained by what you did. You regret everything. But besides this, you're going to do a lot of community service. You have to give back to the community that you took from. You're going to do you're going to help, you're going to give tzedakah. Okay? If he's not 75 years old, if he's doing teshuvah when he's 40, 50, and he lives for the next 30 years and he does all of that, maybe he will be able to clean himself completely. Now, let's say that did not happen. Let's say he did teshuvah when he's 75 in the old age home. You can't steal anyway now. He's in bed most of the time, right? Hashem, forgive me. What now? He can't do all this work. Hashem says, you know what? There's several ways I can forgive you. The next 5 years are going to be very painful to you. All kinds of illnesses. Or, upstairs, you're going to pay for it. Or, number 3, I have to send you back down. And when I send you back down in a reincarnation, in a new life, you will be a poor man. For the whole life you will be poor, to pay for all the sins in the previous life. There are various ways that Hashem can make teshuvah work. But just saying I'm sorry is not enough. You see what I mean? It's not enough. It has, depending on what he did, how many times he did it, how many years he did it. Let's say if he didn't eat kosher, there's a different kind of kapara for that. If he killed someone, there's a different kind of kapara for that. For murder, usually the person has to get killed himself. Usually many times he comes back in another reincarnation and he drowns or he's killed. Unless, the only exception to that is if he helped the widow of the man he killed and he married off the orphans. The teshuvah is so strong, he did so much for that family. Yes, it's possible, but most people don't get to that. Yes.
But Hashem says, whatever you do in with me, like don't keep Shabbat or eat non-kosher. Whenever you do teshuvah, I forgive. But whatever you do to my another person, another creation, if you do another son, then you have to deal with that.
That's correct. Between us and God, Hashem is forgiving. Between man and man, you have to approach the person and ask for forgiveness. That's a little bit of a different idea. What I'm talking real now is about kapara. Teshuvah is one thing, kapara is something else. Teshuvah means Hashem says, you know what? I'm not upset at you anymore. Why? Because you said I'm sorry. Imagine a husband telling his wife, I'm sorry. That's very, very special, important, and should be done the sooner the better. Okay? Does that mean she will forget completely? Depending what he did. It could be he's done so much of this for such a long time, now he has to make up for it. Okay, Hashem says, okay, I forgive you, I'm not angry at you anymore. Because you did teshuvah, I'm no longer upset at you. I'm not going to go after you. But now you have to clean up. Now I need to give you kapara. Hashem said, so the person says, Hashem, please don't give me kapara. Let me do it on my own. I'm going to fast for the next 10 years, every Monday and Thursday. Or I'm going to give so much tzedakah for the next 10 years. That's okay. That will be a kapara for all kinds of things that the person may have done. So you see, teshuvah and kapara are two separate things, but they usually go together. When a person does teshuvah, either he does the kapara himself, if he knows what to do, or Hashem sends the kapara, like the example I gave you. All of a sudden, the business is not doing well. Because kapara with money is easier than kapara with physical illness. Nobody wants to be ill. Nobody wants to be sick. Nobody wants to go through surgery. Kidney stones. You know how terrible kidney stones are? Right? Nobody wants cancer. Right? Nobody wants, Chas v'shalom, a tumor. Right? A heart attack, a stroke. Oh, who wants these things? Right? Now, if you don't eat well and smoke, you're doing it to yourself. I'm not talking about that. That, the person is to blame. But if it comes from Shamayim, the person is healthy, young, eats well, how could it happen to him? From Shamayim, for some reason, either from now or from a previous life. But it's always kapara, it's always for the good. It's always for the benefit. And the better the person becomes, the more Hashem sometimes will send him the kapara. I want you clean now, so you come upstairs, you enjoy right away. Otherwise, you have to go this, you have to do that, and, you know. It's better always here. But what if a person does teshuvah and is on the last day of his life, the last week of his life? Hashem says, okay, I accept it. Better late than never, he'll tell him. But what am I going to do about your dress, about your white gown? We have to clean it. How do you want to clean it now? You don't have time to clean it here. You're leaving now. Malach HaMavet, the angel of death, is taking you. Right? How are we going to clean it? Here you can't. So what's the next step? Upstairs? Or come back. We send you back down. He's born again. He goes through diapers again. Goes through kindergarten again. Married again. Whole life again. And Bezat Hashem, hopefully the second time, you know, a guy comes upstairs. They complain about him. How come you didn't learn Torah? She says, God, because I lived in Tabriz. There was not even a Chabad over there. So Hashem says, you know what, you're right, you have a good point. I'm going to send you back down next time. You're going to be in Me'ashe Arim, in Bnei Brak. You're going to be in a place where there's a lot of Jews. That's it. Yeah, it wasn't his fault. Do you know that there are many Jews that lived in Bandar Abbas? You know where that is?
Yeah.
Ahvaz? Yeah? You know where that is? You know why they live there, Jews? Why would a Jew go there?
For business.
What kind of business? What's there in Bandar Abbas?
Oil.
Exactly. They say he worked for a petroleum company. And you know, in Iran, many years ago, people who left and they came back once, twice a year, they visited the house. They were away for many months, right? What? Mikveh, no tefillin, no tefillah, no bet midrash, no Torah. That was his business, parnasah. They say, yeah, you're right. It wasn't a good choice, but we didn't do any better. Next time we're going to send you to Los Angeles, to Pico Boulevard, right? We're going to put you in a place where there's Jews and there's Bate Knesset. Okay, yeah, that's what happens. People, because of the circumstances, they grow up all kinds of places. Their fathers took them there. It's not their fault. Hashem says, I know it's not your fault. I'm going to send you back down. Right? Gives them a round-trip ticket. Right? And that's it. The second time, hopefully, will be better. Yes?
Is that true that women come to this work voluntarily?
No, not really. No. Sometimes they do. A righteous person comes down and he wants his original wife back. He wants his Isfahani wife. He doesn't, right? He wants her back. So she says, okay, I want to come, or I want to, so she comes down. She doesn't have to come down, but she comes down because he's such a good person and such a big tzaddik that she wants to come down to be with him. That happens once in a while. Usually the woman doesn't come back down all the time. Yeah. But anyway, I don't want to get off the subject too much.
But if someone is divorced, then forever they are separate.
They are separate if it's a real divorce, yeah.
What do you mean by real divorce? Jewish divorce,
A real divorce means that she doesn't really belong to him anyway. If she's from the same root of the soul, so she belongs to the same root of the soul as he does. So they may not be as friendly upstairs, but if he doesn't remarry somebody else, when the two of them will get up into Chiyat HaMetim, they'll be back together.
But the moment if she married, then they are not going back together.
Not if it was a real divorce. In other words,
what do you mean by real?
Okay, it's a different topic. Let's say a person divorces his wife because she can't give him kids. Okay? It's a mitzvah to have kids. In the olden days, you can marry a second woman and just say, you stay in the kitchen. Okay?
The good old days.
Yeah, the good old days, yeah. Up to 4. As long as you were able to give each one a credit card. Right? You have to afford them, right? Now you can't even afford one. So if she was he loved her, but he divorced her. He says, honey, I'm sorry, but I want to have kids. It's his real wife. You don't think she's going to come back to him? Of course she will. She doesn't have anybody else. It's only him. That's what I mean. A real divorce means that they completely sever their ways because they have nothing to do with each other. And Hashem knows who does and who doesn't. So a divorce that is usually for other reasons, in other words, like they couldn't get along, usually they don't get back together. They're divorced forever. Especially if he remarried and she remarries. Yeah. All right. So in the end, Yesurim are good, right? So that is when the rabbis tell us, Chavivin Yesurim. They're precious, they're so good. And the Chafetz Chaim said, if we only went upstairs and we were able to see how good the Yesurim do for us, we would ask for doubles. And this is the mashal that is brought down. I don't know if it's a real story, if it was a mashal, or it happened to someone. Somebody went upstairs after living his life down here, and he didn't do too many good deeds. Few good deeds, but many bad deeds. Many bad deeds. And as he's going upstairs, the malach, the angel, is taking him, and as they're going to the judgment, he sees on his right agalot, wagons. And in the wagons, there's something that he can't see what they are, but it's full of it. And he asks the malach, what are these wagons full of? He says, all these wagons they're full of your sins. And they're taking them now to the court. He says, one wagon, second wagon. Wow, what a long train of wagons. So What is he going to do now? How is he going to defend himself? All of a sudden he looks to his left, more wagons. He says, what are these wagons? He says, these wagons are all the times that you had pain, all your sicknesses, the times you lost money, your frustrations, people hurt you, embarrassments. He says, they go to the court too. He says, yeah, for every one of these wagons, they remove one of these wagons of the sins. He says, how many more? Let them come, let them come, let them come. He says, no, there's only about 5 or 6 of them. Oh, chabal, chabal, what a shame. I wish there was many more, you see. For every wagon of pain and suffering and embarrassment that a person had in this world, they remove a wagon of sins. We don't realize that. Somebody insults you, don't say anything. If you don't say anything, it's a tremendous kapara. Not a kapara, tremendous kapara. If you say something and get back to him, then it's not going to be such a big kapara. Because then you're defending yourself. If you keep quiet, which is difficult, very difficult, and you accept it, it's very powerful. Embarrassment is a powerful kapara. Don't ask people to embarrass you, of course. But if it happens, you should know that it happened mishamayim. All right, another kind of Yisurim is you lost a plane. You lost a flight. That's very, very, you were stuck in traffic. That can be terrible, right? Is that good or bad?
Yeah.
Huh?
It's good because some kind of kapara, I don't know.
You don't know. You don't know. You had a very important meeting, and because you lost this meeting, maybe you lost a big deal of money. So sometimes we don't know what's so good about it. Except that later on, when you go home, you heard that the plane went down. It crashed. Oh, Baruch Hashem. Gamzu letova. It must have been for the good. You see, Hashem held me back. This has happened many, many times. That people were held back, and they realized later on that it was for their good. There's a story that happened in the 80s. I think it was in the 80s. In Holland. Most of you don't remember this probably, unless you have a good memory of the news. Do you remember that there was an El Al airline, big plane, jumbo jet from Amsterdam on the way to Israel that right after takeoff crashed, exploded? You don't remember that, huh? It's been a long time. Baruch Hashem, the reason why you don't remember that is because that El Al plane was a cargo plane full of flowers and perfume. It was not a passenger plane. Chas v'shalom had a billion of passengers. It was, there was still the pilot and a few people on board, but it was only a few people. It was cargo plane. On that flight, the wife of one of the diplomats, or the ambassador, or the consul in Holland was supposed to go on it. She was going to get a ride. She's the she can go any flight. So she had an urgent matter to attend in Israel. I think it was that one of her daughters were getting married. Okay? So she had to go right away. All of a sudden, as she's boarding the plane, she gets a call from her other daughter in Amsterdam. Mom, please come right away. I think I'm about to deliver. I'm having contractions. And she wasn't due then. I said, oh, contractions? Okay, so she has to let go of this flight. She went back home and she wasn't on that flight. What's this? Ashgacha. We call this Ashgacha. Hashem is involved. Hashem protected her. It's obvious. She could have easily been on the plane. This daughter was not supposed to have contractions now. She's not due. I don't think she was due then. What's this? Many, many such stories. All these stories prove that there is Hashgacha. Hashem is involved. He can intercede if He chooses to. He has to choose to. He has to want to. And here, for some reason, that woman has some merit. Her time has not come yet. Or if at least it didn't come to die this way. Right? And therefore, she was called the last minute. Now, you may ask another question. Why did she go to the plane to begin with? Why didn't they hold her back at home? This is scary. Maybe she had to get the scare. Maybe this would wake her up. If she wouldn't even thought of taking this flight, she wouldn't have known that this is a miracle. So they let her go halfway, then they stopped her. Because in this way, this awakens. And many, many times when a person goes through something in life, it's because they want him to be awakened at least. Okay, wake up! Hopefully if he wakes up, he'll get the message. If not, maybe they'll send another message. One of the things that is the most difficult to figure out, however, when it comes to all kinds of wake-up calls or painful situations is whether this is from a previous Gilgul, and therefore this is the Mazal right now. Mazal right now has to do with the previous life. Or is this a Gezerah, a decree from above? The only way to know if something is a decree, a bad decree from above, they're upset at you, is when too many things go wrong. You see, if somebody has a bad year, it could be his mazal. He has a bad mazal. It could be the economy. If somebody has 2 things go bad that year, also mazal. But what do you say if somebody has 3 root canals on Monday, his transmission goes on Thursday, the neighbor sues him the following week, he loses the job 2 days later, and then his wife gets into a car accident 2 days later after that. Nobody has such a bad mazal. This kind of mazal is not created yet. This is called gezerah. This is a decree. This is a decree giving you shot after shot after shot, injection after injection. This is called gezerah. When too many things are bad, one after another in a short time, that is how you know this can't be a mazal. This is gezerah, because mazal, all kinds of mazal people have. This one has a good wife, but he has a poor job. This one has a great job, but he has a wife that is not so good. Kids are difficult. People have all kinds of mazalot mixed bags, as they say in English. But to have this kind of a week, this kind of a month, one after another, you know for sure they're after you.
Why?
Why? When you see this, you have to examine. Rabbi tells you, examine yourself, because if you examine, you may find the reason what you have done was, what did you do so bad, wrong, to deserve such a gezerah?
Recently or?
Yeah, recently, yeah. Hashem wants us to figure it out. He wants us. Otherwise, what does he expect of us to do? So usually if somebody thinks about it, or he gets help with a rabbi and they look into the life, what did you do recently? It could be something simple. Simple but very, very traumatic, very, very negative. Maybe he slapped someone in public. So he slapped him and he embarrassed him, because slapping is embarrassing in public. Because he was a good person, to do something like that is such a negative act that upstairs they say, oh, we're going to give it to him right now. They can say, we'll hold off, and eventually we'll collect this debt. Or they can give it to him right away, because this requires immediate action to fix. You better repair this, or he's a goner. Right? So I'm just giving you an example. I don't know, but I'm giving you an example of things can happen for something that a person did, and he doesn't even realize how bad it is until he sees the decree. One after another. You know, you don't do something like that. That's terrible, to embarrass someone in public, to slap him in the face, or it could be that this will bring a gezerah chas v'shalom. It doesn't have to be poverty. It could be illness. It could be he will be in a coma, chas v'shalom. And I don't want to say names. There's somebody like that who's right now for several years in a coma. What do you think that is? Just for nothing? Obviously, people who know can easily see what he did right before that. It wasn't a year before. It was right before that. But anyway, I don't want to mention names now. Everybody should have a refuah shlema and hopefully realize what they have to repair. Sometimes a person doesn't get the message, so they have to send a more difficult message. What is it that difficult? This is an incredible story that happened in Israel about, 30 years ago maybe, give or take. There was a Jew, an Israeli Jew, who grew up in a religious family. But unfortunately, he deteriorated. He was going off the derech, going bad. His parents pleaded with him, begged him. They sent him to rabbis. The rabbis talked to him. Nothing helped. He was very stubborn. I think he was Moroccan too. Yeah. Very difficult and didn't want to change at all. No matter what they said to him, no, nothing helped. I don't want to. I'm not interested with him. He was a bus driver. One day, as he's letting the woman and her daughter out the back door, he didn't see well who was going off the back door, and he backed up, or he continued, and he ran over the little girl. He killed her. You can imagine the chaos, the anger. He himself lost himself completely. He couldn't take it. He couldn't digest what had just happened, that he had killed a human being. He, a good bus driver, why did it happen to him? He goes over and cries to the mother, I'm sorry, and tearing at his hair, and I don't know why this happened to me. He was going crazy. And this mother apparently was a recent Balat Teshuvah. And she said, I accept everything be'ahava, besimcha. I realize that this has been Hashemayim. Obviously he loves us, and obviously this is not a random act. If it happened, I accept it. God gave, God took. Yehi Shem Hashem Mevorach. And she was very calm when she was saying this. And he's continuing to cry, and he's continuing to ask, I'm sorry. He says, what am I going to do now? He says, there's one thing I'd like to ask of you to do. If you're really interested in doing something, please go to a seminar where they will teach you about Judaism. And he agreed. He went to the seminar, and Baruch Hashem, he came back and became a Baal Teshuvah. Unfortunately, he had to learn the hard way. It took this maaseh, this incident, to wake him up, to shake him up. And for this woman to suggest that he do what he should have done a long time ago. But at least he did it. But look what had to happen to wake him up. All right. Let's just finish up with the last few pesukim here. ושיבחתני את השמחה שאין טוב לאדם תחת השמש כי אם לאכול ולשתות ולשמוח והוא ילבנו בעמלו ימי חייו אשר נתן לו אלוהים תחת השמש. I praise the midah of simcha, of happiness. That's a very important midah that will help one throughout his life, throughout his work, in dealing with all kinds of pressures and stress that we have in life. Simcha is one that will hopefully also neutralize any sadness, any disappointments, and any anger. How do you deal with anger? How do you deal with stress? How do you deal with all kinds of situations that depress people? Happiness. It's an important midah, difficult midah to acquire, nevertheless a midah that one has to work on. Because if he succeeds, it will help a lot in alleviating a lot of pain. Go to Chinatown, see about 8 o'clock in the morning or earlier, all of a sudden a whole bunch of Chinese are laughing. What are you laughing at? It's an exercise to laugh. They say it's healthy. I think they're right. Laugh! Yeah. Right? It's good. So, simcha is a positive midah. It's a midah that we have to, of course, have in our life when we perform the mitzvot. But here it's a necessity in order to control the negative traits. People, unfortunately, because they're stressed out in life, they have a hard time letzdik tanin. They have a hard time accepting judgment, accepting what comes down to them from above. And the only way to help oneself to accept what comes down from above is by being sameach bechelko. It's a very important midah, not just to be sameach. Sameach bechelko means be content with what you have. Whatever it is. I have a small apartment, I have an old car from 1974, I'm happy. It takes me to where I need to go. Be happy and content with what you have, because if a person adopts this way of thinking, I'm happy with whatever Hashem gave me, you know how much stress he'll be saving himself? He won't have to stress himself out to get the latest car, to make more money, to have more material goods and possessions. A lot of stress comes from people wanting to have all these things that they can't have. Need to have the latest iPhone. You heard about it? iPhone. Who needs the iPhone? Why can't you have a simple phone? No, because everybody else has it. But it's a few $100s in a contract for a couple of years. Don't you realize they want to steal your money? So every year there'll be a new model. I'm not making fun completely of these gadgets. They're very useful. But who says you have to have the most expensive one? It only brings stress. So when a person is sameach bechelko, what will happen? It will help him be mistapek bemuat. The midah of sameach bechelko will enable him and facilitate that he should be happy with less. Mistapek bemuat, to be happy with less. That's a very big midah. One of the greatest problems today, especially in some communities, and I'm hinting, right, that they live above their means. Have you heard that expression? People living above their means? Buying everything on credit cards? If you don't have the money, don't buy it. Don't borrow it. And eventually people miscalculate and they end up being in a lot of debt, a lot of tzarot, a lot of troubles because of that. They miscalculate. They're not good managers of money. Who says you can afford this? This problem exists in Israel a lot today too. People have overdrafts in their bank accounts. People live in their minus. You can't afford it, don't buy. So a great deal of problems today is because of this. Let me share with you two quick meshalim in the Gemara. One is, Echol batzal v'shev batzel, v'lo tuchal avazim v'tarnegolim v'yeh libcha rodef alecha. They rhyme. Echol, in other words, they're similar. Echol batzal v'shev batzel. Eat onions, but sit in the shade. In other words, eat simply. And don't go after the stuffed chickens and the ducks. Because if you become used to that, you'll never know the end of it, because it will eat up your money. When you get used, it's an expression, eat simple, eat batzal, onion, and you'll be able to sit in the shade with tranquility. Don't get used to a life of expensive foods. Another one which I like is, Man de achil alita tashi be'alita, de achil kakule akikla demata shachiv. Alita and alita are similar. One is with an aleph, one is with an ayin. Alita is in Farsi dombe. You know what that is? It's fat. And it's good fat. It's expensive too. Don't eat the dombe. Don't eat the aliyah. Don't eat the fat, the steaks. Right? Because whoever does has to hide in the attic. Because he's gotten used to an expensive lifestyle. And the butcher's going to come. Where is the flus? Where is the masari? Where's the money? Right? You owe me. So the guys who get used to eating the fat foods, the fat steaks, they have to hide later in the attic from the creditors. The achil kakule, the one that gets used to eating plain vegetables, ghormeh sabzi, right? Yeah, it's plain, right? It's cheap usually, no? Not so cheap? Yeah. Anyway, akikla demata shachiv. Then he can sit amongst the average people in the street, in the cheapest colony, in downtown, Wall Street there. In other words, he can be anywhere. He doesn't have to hide from anyone, right? Just eat simple, live simple, and you won't have all these troubles. כאשר נתתי את ליבי לדעת חוכמה ולראות את העניין אשר נעשה לארץ, כי גם ביום ובלילה שינה בעיניו איננו רואה. Here he's talking about how people who pursue the motarot, all the pleasures, will not be able to sleep day or night. That's one pirush. If they go after these things, they won't have any sleep. They're always going to try to work 2-3 shifts to make it, so they won't sleep. A second pirush on these words that he won't be able to sleep is if you try to figure out life and try to understand what's going on, even if you don't sleep day and night and try to study and analyze, you will never be able to figure it out, right? V'ra'iti et kol ma'aseh Elohim. This is the last pasuk of the perek. I see all the deeds that Hashem created. Ki lo yuchal adam limtso et ha'ma'aseh asher na'asa tachat hashemes b'shel asher ya'amol ha'adam levakesh v'lo yimtza v'gam im yomar hacham adat lo yuchal limtso. In other words, nobody can really figure anything out completely. No matter how hard he works, no matter how smart he is, he will not be able to know everything. And as we said in the beginning, the reason for that is because no matter how hard you try, there are certain things that are spiritual. Physical, we can more or less figure out. That which is spiritual is not possible for everything to figure out, for anyone to figure out. And we don't have the permission to try to figure it out. The last pirush over here on this pasuk is that some say he's hinting, man can never know in advance or know from a distance what he will do if he's in a particular situation. The rabbis, for example, tell us, don't judge anybody until you're in his shoes. Don't say, oh, had I been in his shoes, this is what I have done. This is what I plan to do if I am in that. You can never even know that. You can't predict the future. You don't even know yourself. You don't even know yourself. how you will be and how you will react if you were put into that pressure cooker, if you're in that situation. So therefore, don't be a judge unto others, okay, because you don't know how you would react if you're in that same situation. Everybody has challenges in their life, and everybody deals with the challenges differently. What we do need to know, and with this I'll finish, is that even though we all have challenges, Hashem has given us the koach, the strength, to be able to contend with them. Nobody should ever say, I have a situation that is unbearable. People who commit suicide are escaping from their problems. They are able to deal with them. They may need guidance, they may need encouragement, of course, but they should remember that if Hashem has given them a trial, a challenge, a nisayon, a test, it's for their own good. But He has also given them the strength, the ability to survive it. Nobody will be abandoned. Nobody will be left with the dogs. Everybody is able to come out of it. Everybody is able to deal with it properly. Of course, the more a person learns Torah, the better his chances are that B'ezrat Hashem, he will succeed in every nisayon that he will face. Okay, thank you.